Remember, the next episode after this is already up live and available to watch now by over 4,500 incredible fans on the world's largest and highest earning anime and manga Patreon in the world. The links are in the pinned comment and description. See you there. Finally, a break from those clowns. It's been non-stop since that elder god called me here. 2 hours until this so-called big tournament between the multiverses. So I may as well catch some shut-eye. So our story begins with a view of a strange-looking Vegeta, a certain God Killer Vegeta we had previously seen in the Ultra Vegito story, relaxing away, or at least attempting to, on a makeshift hammock in the realm of the Elder Gods. But the question remains, however, just who is this Vegeta, and how did he become like this? As soon his eyes would reopen and he would elaborate, I still can't believe I got to see Kakarot again. And I'll be fighting alongside him of all things. This elder god, Hera, my creator apparently. He and the others of his kind, not too long from now, will host a tournament to find out just who the strongest multiverse is. I can bet there will be more Kakarots, and even another me. But closing his eyes again, relaxed and self-assured with a smile, this Vegeta would continue. Like it matters though, no other Vegeta could have possibly been through what I have, mastered the abilities I know. My team is one thing, but they shouldn't be surprised at all if the Prince of all Saiyans ends up slaughtering everyone by myself anyway. But I guess to know why, you'd need to know my story. 2 hours, huh? That's just enough time. What happened? Where am I now? Kakarot! Come out! I know you're here. You can't hide from me. I know you didn't die to Frieza! As the scene would suddenly shift to a view of Vegeta, clearly back from the Namek saga in a pitch black space in chase of Son Goku. You think because you defeated Frieza, you can escape my wrath? We've got unfinished business, Kakarot. The strongest remains me. I don't care if you're a Super Saiyan. Show yourself! As getting increasingly agitated, as you'd expect, Vegeta would start looking around frantically. But soon enough, a familiar set of legs, draped in orange trousers and blue boots, would begin walking behind the prince. Kakarot! And instantly, Vegeta would turn around, knowing his suspicions were true. So, you finally show yourself. I could smell the softness on you a mile away. The Earthlings think you must have died, but I knew you couldn't be killed that easy. No, a clown like you just doesn't know how to quit. As with his hands on his hips, triumphantly, like seeing an old friend again, Vegeta would continue. Congratulations on your achievement. It's quite the honor to be the Saiyan that finally slayed that monster Frieza, after all he did to our kind. If it weren't me, it was always going to be you. You did your Saiyan blood proud, Mr. Super Saiyan.
But strangely, this smiling back Goku would have nothing to say, staring back blankly like he were a defective android.
Too good to talk to me now? Remember, you're still nothing compared to me. Ready yourself, Kakarot. You may be a Super Saiyan, but I will show you that I am one too.
As suddenly getting into fighting stance, Vegeta's insecurity would force himself to prove himself.
You're mine!
As just like that, Vegeta, like a feral dog, would rush in straight at the silent Goku. Getting closer, as Son Goku would really continue to not make a single move. Vegeta's view just getting shorter and shorter in distance to the smiling face of Goku until... You're still so weak, Vegeta. Finally, Goku would say something, and possibly the most out of character and wrong thing to say to the prince that he could have ever said.
Weak! Say that again, Kakarot!
As now right in front of Goku, the prince's hand would be clawed as if about to rip that smile straight off Goku. But in that very moment, a shining yellow aura would completely come over the Saiyan from Earth, his whole existence flashing bright as his eyes would switch from black to an emerald green until...
Kakarot! So this is a Super Saiyan! What kind of power is this? Why isn't it mine?
As Goku, now completely transformed into a Super Saiyan, fresh off Namek, would confront Vegeta in person for what seems like the first time since. As the prince would stop immediately in his tracks, in a mixture of shock and awe, but also fear. His eyes wide open and sweat perspirating from Goku's presence alone. And to rub more salt in the wound, Goku's power change would not even end there, as he would then power up further, yelling away as his legendary golden aura would flux. And so much to the extent Vegeta himself would forcibly find himself hurtling backwards. And in a flash, catching the prince, his face now back in front of Vegeta, the super-powered Saiyan would then make his move. Immediately slamming both his fists, not unlike a Hulk smash, straight onto Vegeta's chest plate, cracking it on impact instantly. Vegeta in response, falling to the ground with a crash instantly, his armor breaking apart to leave an eerily similar hole to the one left by Frieza when Vegeta died on Namek.
Kakarot!
As not left alone, he would then find himself being dragged up by the hair, bleeding from the mouth and breathing rapidly, seemingly already defeated by a single strike from Son Goku.
Get off! Lucky hit!
You really are pathetic, Vegeta. Have you even got stronger at all since we last fought? As being lifted up, those goading remarks from the Super Saiyan would continue to add further insult. But as Goku would look up still with a smile, in his free left hand, a ball of blue energy would be forming. only for him to impart an exploding gift straight onto Vegeto's torso, sending him flying again as Goku would simultaneously let go of the Saiyan's hair at the same time.
This isn't fair! Why would you be the one picked to be the legendary Super Saiyan? I'm the Royal Saiyan! What makes you different, Kakarot?
And even as Vegeta would land back for a second time, all he could do would be to wonder over his own inferiority again. As meanwhile, the golden aura fluxing Goku would begin just walking over to him, answering him, "What makes me different is that I'm just better than you, Vegeta. Is it that hard to believe? You need to wake up from your delusions."
Delusions? You've learned some big words, haven't you, clown?
Here, let me help you wake up. As while Vegeta would continue to grunt and bleed, his eyes barely able to open, Goku would raise his foot, the base of his shoe curiously dangling exactly over the skull of the prince.
See ya! Kakarot! Wait!
And almost instantly, seemingly going in for the kill, Goku would accelerate his foot down, and the reaction from Vegeta would be one of pure terror. His beaten up eyes forced open, waving his arms frantically in vain, trying to stop certain death, screaming one final time, "Kakarot!" Until ultimately, Vegeta really would wake up, in a sweat and pure fear, gripping at his bedsheets tightly. It was all just a nightmare, something on the Saiyan Prince's mind that had clearly not yet been addressed. As looking down quickly, sweat literally dripping off his face onto the bed, Vegeta would think internally,
"That's the second time this week! Kakarot, you continue to invade my dreams with no way for me to confront you. Are you really dead? I refuse to believe it. Where do I go from here if you aren't here either? Why am I even here to begin with?"
As with these existential thoughts now filling Vegeta's mind, even over why he remained on Earth, the scene would transition to Vegeta getting ready for the morning. In the shower, more than likely still in deep thought over the previous events. And eventually, we would see that of course, where Vegeta would be staying after the events of Namek would be Capsule Corp itself, offered a place by Bulma. And so, a foot would then be seen walking out in strange trainers, and it would be Vegeta walking across the lawn, but unfortunately, a certain figure from far away would be calling out, "Hey, look who finally woke up! We could hear your screams all night! You alright, little guy?" And Vegeta would then turn his head immediately, not that bothered by the comment though. But funnily enough, it would be coming from Yamcha in this multiverse, sitting over confidently at a table with Bulma on his lap, who would chuckle along to his poking words, as Yamcha would only continue, "Nice shirt. The pink suits you. Who'd you borrow it off? Bulma?" As a nervous Krillin in the background would just mumble, "Yamcha, give it a rest. I don't think he'll like that."
"So, it's you."
But strangely, Vegeta would just laugh back with him, grinning as he would reply,
I forget your name. You Earthlings all seem alike. But aren't you that one weakling who couldn't even beat up a Cyberman? Killed by one even? You know where I'm from. Even the children use those things as fodder.
What did you say? So my death is a joke to you then? Real low! As triggering him clearly, Yamcha would get up, forcing Bulma off as he would slam his hand onto the table in annoyance. Hey! Come say that to my face, pink shirt! And in his rage, clearly, Yamcha would lose all sense, rushing in immediately at Vegeta, as Bulma would scream from behind, Yamcha! What are you doing?
Is this clown being serious right now?
But as Vegeta would look on motionless, a sudden killer instinct would come over him, like a lion that had just come into contact with a rabbit, as Vegeta would let out,
I don't know what this piece has done to you, but what are you going to do if I do say it again? Have you forgot? I'm no Earthling like you. You people mean nothing to me. Make the wrong move, and I will kill you.
That may be true. As instantly coming to his senses quickly and overcome with fear, Yamcha's body would hunch up and crumble like a piece of paper, backing down the minute Vegeta would say this. But unfortunately, only moments later, with a smile, Yamcha would add, you know what? I'm okay with being the guy that lost to a Cyberman. Because, in the end, me and you are in the same boat. I lost to them, and you lost to Frieza. But in the end, it was Goku who had to save both of us. So are we really that different?
Goku!
But instantly, with that final line said, it would be Vegeta this time that feels something snap from within. Yamcha had gone too far and pressed the ill-fated Goku button. And in a flash, Vegeta would appear in front of Yamcha, with his fist clenched, and like a demon had overcome him. Only pure violence would be on his mind in retaliation.
Shut your mouth, worm!
And with one vicious strike, its impact heard through the whole city, Yamcha would luckily lose consciousness immediately, sent flying to crash backwards back onto the table from which he came. His eyes blank and body motionless, as if the feeble human had just been permanently disabled for life, or on his way to die one more time as a consequence of his words. Yamcha! Yamcha! The destruction and sight of his horrific state immediately garnering the attention of Krillin and Bulma, who would turn around in terror. Vegeta! And with Yamcha being a longtime friend, Krillin, who would always stand up for what's right against anyone, would begin tensing his muscles and gritting his teeth in reaction, grumbling out, I knew it! I knew we should have never brought you back with us! You haven't changed at all, Vegeta! You're just as evil as the day we met you! I'll make you pay for that! And rushing instinctively, Krillin would be the next human to try his luck against the Prince of all Saiyans. Soaring with speed as an unfussed Vegeta will not say a word, standing still, knowing literally no level of threat was approaching him.
You shut up too, Baldy!
Responding immediately with yet another strike, this time a rising kick that connects perfectly under Krillin's chin, snapping his head almost 180 degrees backwards. Him too sent flying backwards towards Bulma, landing again without movement, unconscious on his front side beside Yamcha. Vegeta! What have I done? I brought you here! I thought you were a good guy now! Leaving a somber Bulma to clutch her blue hair in nervous despair, as the extreme violence would be too much for her.
Well, you thought wrong, woman. I'm done with this silly planet. There is no reason for me to be here. I'm not your friend, and I did not ask to be your guest. Where is your ship? I'm leaving. I must find Kakarot.
As just like that, emotionlessly, without a thought for the Bulma of this multiverse, Vegeta would then fly off in search of said ship. Oh, how could I be so dumb? Yamcha, forgive me. As falling down to her knees now, tears would begin to trickle down, as the young scientist would be forced to confront her mistakes and too optimistic hopes for the cold-blooded killer, Vegeta.
Here it is! How could I miss such an ugly machine?
And back with the prince, it wouldn't be long at all before he would find the notorious gravity machine and land right beside it, entering it swiftly, looking around thinking,
it's been cleaned up too. Good job, old man.
Before he would walk further in and be confronted with a smorgasbord of buttons that would confuse even the greatest of minds until...
I haven't got time for this! Just take me to that clown!
As raising his hand abruptly, Vegeta would just slam his hand onto the largest button he could find, not worrying at all about what coordinates, if at all, had been entered. And just like that, the story of the Vegeta that left Earth entirely, like he was always supposed to have, would begin, with Capsule Corp's ship shooting swiftly from the orbit of Earth and deep into space with speed. As we'd then get a view of Vegeta inside, his head bowed, his eyes shadowed. It would almost seem like there was some regret on his mind. That is, until his teeth would begin to show a big grin and...
Finally! I'm free from those weaklings! This is all I needed. Their softness was reducing my strength day by day, while you, Kakarot, are probably training getting stronger even now. Wait for me, clown. I'm coming!
As still lost in his delusion that Goku was still alive and that he would find him, even without coordinates, Vegeta would explode into a maniacal laughter. A clear view for his future, and one that was bright and filled with him getting stronger. And to that end of getting stronger, of course in this ship, there was more than just open space and food. A readily available gravity room would be functioning.
Keep going! This is nothing! 20,004! 20,005! 20,006! Keep going! Only 30,000 more! Gah! My body feels like it's going to explode!
As we would join Vegeta over many months, training vigorously, just like he had in the main timeline and multiverse. But in this one, he would go even further beyond, reaching 1000G, 2000G, and even 3000G in the process, 3,000 times Earth's gravity, dodging all sorts of beams, working on his footwork, working on his strength and endurance, while also fighting and attacking all alone mental images of himself, improving his speed while he was at it. In the wait for this so-called still alive Goku, Vegeta would put himself through hell. But after about half a year, the random coordinates of the spaceship would reveal themselves, as the Capsule Corp ship would be seen flying towards a yellow planet surrounded in asteroids, ultimately crash landing with no landing gear for a devastating amount of destruction, the kind that would have killed any human crew instantly. But of course, Vegeta was no human, and out of the smoke, a silhouette would start to emerge, then a darkened hand, and then a distinct Saiyan boot stepping forward.
Finally, I'm here!
As Vegeta would reveal himself, noticeably more bulky than before in the shape of his life, in just his bare shorts, as all his scratches and injuries would be unclear if caused by the explosion or just how brutal his own training regime was. But regardless, not caring too much for the pain either way, Vegeta would look around and comment,
I know, I couldn't control where I was headed, but this ship must have taken me here for some reason. This could not just be coincidence. Clown, are you really here? Kakarot, show yourself!
And just like that, believing in his conviction strongly, Vegeta would then yell out, like screaming for a misbehaving son, his voice echoing through the mountains. But when the echoes would end, just a deathly silence would be heard along with the wind. Nobody was here to answer, especially not Goku, it would seem.
Of course, I couldn't get that lucky. So be it. I've waited this long, I can wait a bit longer. I'll need to find a way off this planet in the meantime anyway.
As closing his eyes with a smile, finally would seem some reality had hit Vegeta, accepting it graciously though, that this dream of finding Son Goku wouldn't be as easy as he thought.
This power! It's a Saiyan! It's him!
That is until suddenly, Vegeta would sense a soaring power level that he would instantly recognize to belong to some kind of Saiyan, and it would be fast approaching.
There!
As right on cue, it would seem Vegeta's dreams would be answered, as in the distance, a figure would be coming straight at him, the air screeching as it would fly forward like a pinpointed fighter jet.
Who are you?
But shockingly, it would be no Goku, but instead Broly. The mysterious yellow planet Vegeta had landed on had by chance ended up being none other than Planet Bumper. And immediately, the two Saiyans' first meeting would be Broly landing his fist with a thunderous impact onto Vegeta's crossed arms at the very last second. But blocked or not, an aura would form around Broly, as like a rocket, he would then push Vegeta back, smashing the two through multiple mountains in a flash.
You think that's supposed to hurt me? This planet's made of mud, not steel, you fool!
But regardless, Vegeta would still be all smiles, just pleased to finally, after all this time, run into another one of his kind.
Go back where you came from!
As Broly would soon come to a stop and try to ward Vegeta off with words instead. But this would just be an opportunity for the prince to jump back to get some space, looking at Broly with genuine curiosity, replying,
Go back where I came from? My friend, we come from the same place!
Confusing the primitive-minded Broly momentarily, as he would struggle to know what this stranger even meant.
Fine! Then you die here like all the rest! Fine by me! Just let me know when this killer arrives, because I know it's not a low-class warrior like you!
As both Saiyans would then just face each other in deadlock, each in fighting stance until... both would then launch simultaneously and... with both their fists pulled back, one far more angry than the other, Vegeta and Broly would have their first battle to see just who is stronger at this point in time. As surprisingly, both would strike with similar impact, with Vegeta having done all this extra training, while Broly was now being found near the Namek Saga rather than far into Dragon Ball Super. And from this simultaneous strike, both would then be sent flying backwards.
You hit harder than I thought you would! Same to you!
As each would then land backwards on the ground roughly, rebalancing themselves, only to inevitably fight some more. But this time, as Broly would come forward with his whole body, as if about to body slam the prince, Vegeta would already have a counter prepared, speedily launching his left leg up until... the prince would perfectly and tactically land right on Broly's cheek before he could come any closer. But with both Broly's arms still outstretched, he'd have a next move of his own in the works.
Come here!
But as he would swing his arms inwards, Vegeta would instantly vanish, leaving the Brolic Saiyan looking like a fool.
Who trained you? Clearly not an elite.
As the prince would then of course reappear right behind, and with his leg pulled back yet again, with Vegeta letting out,
After I'm done showing you your place, be sure to tell me your name. I don't seem to recognize you at all.
And with that said, for devastating results, Vegeta's kick would land seemingly straight on the side of Broly's temple. The only problem was, Broly wouldn't seem to be moving as a result. And soon, we'd see that the Saiyan had indeed grabbed Vegeta by the leg, stopping the impact in full. but with his eyes shadowed and hidden.
My name is Broly. What? Those eyes, what are they?
As in that moment, Broly would then finally reveal his Ikari form, his eyes shining yellow. As to the none the wiser Vegeta, he would stare in complete confusion, not knowing at all what this was.
What the?
As suddenly boosted in sheer strength, Broly would lift the prince up by his leg, as if he were raising a championship belt in victory. Only to ragdoll him straight into the ground violently for a crash.
Unbelievable! Are you a Super Saiyan as well? Where did this power come from?
But while Vegeta would be questioning, he'd not receive any answer other than being tossed far into the distance. And unfortunately, Broly would not be done, opening his mouth wide as a bright green ball of concentrated energy would form. His signature, Giant's Breath until... Like a cannon, a beam would explode out of his gob and straight for the flailing in the sky Vegeta.
What? Nappa's move!
As Vegeta, in shock as his face would be completely illuminated, would first draw similarity to his former partner. He would be completely encompassed in the blast, every cell and fiber of himself being injected and fried with green energy, stretching his whole body apart. And ultimately, he would even be shot even further than he was already going, and towards an empty chasm sat between jagged mountains, resulting in a seismic explosion filling through the space and bursting out the top like a makeshift volcano. The aftermath being just like a volcano also, as plumes of thick black smoke would be left permeating outside. And of course, laid to rest at the very bottom would be a beaten and barely conscious Vegeta, muttering out,
Why me? Why is it always me? First Kakarot, now this oaf. Another low-class Saiyan to surpass me. Father, what were the stories for? Just lies?
But as if King Vegeta had heard him, at that very moment, a glowing light would shine on Vegeta's face, as mysteriously a hand would reach down.
You've got to be kidding me! I thought life is supposed to flash before my eyes before I die. But for me, you do!
You look like you need some help, friend. As unbelievably, the shining and light figure would not be the king, but Son Goku, simply unable to leave Vegeta's mind as he would reach his hand down for help. And inevitably, Vegeta would reach back out.
Fine, I get it. My time isn't over just yet.
As Vegeta's face and body would now begin to light up the same way as Goku's, and curiously with the same smile. As meanwhile, Broly would have his back turned to the destruction in the background.
Still alive.
Until he would be forced to turn his head, noticing a subtle shift in energy.
Thunder!
As soon he would notice out of the chasm, strange bolts of lightning would begin sparking erratically. Until eventually, a beam of energy that spreads across the entire gaping hole would burst into the sky, covering the screen. And inside, a black silhouette of a certain Saiyan warrior would levitate out, as if reborn.
At last, the Saiyan Prince has become a king. I am a Super Saiyan. As unbelievably, in the most unlikely of scenarios, Vegeta would finally ascend in the face of Broly, rising with his now golden hair and aura, complete with emerald green eyes, as pointing to himself, rather ominously in fact, his final words would be, "And my name, Broly, is Your Highness, King Vegeta!"
But that was it for today's video, guys, and if you made it this far, leave me a hashtag King Vegeta in the comments down below and let me know just how does this Vegeta become a god killer. Or just find out what happens right now on my Patreon, where you can see the full next video, fully voice acted, soundtracked, and edited for you to enjoy with over 4,500 plus other fans, as well as getting access to 250 plus other fan mangas too. It's the deal of the century.